Yo guys, I'm back with another Inside the Mind, and today's episode we're gonna have a continuation of my TikTok video where I talk about passing with purpose. Passing with purpose is one of the most effective ways to score goals. You need to know why you're doing certain passes. But anyway, before we get into the video, make sure you're subscribed. I've been informed yet again that 80% of you guys are not subscribed and you're just watching my videos. I'd highly appreciate it if you just click that one button for me. Anyway, let's get into the explanation. So getting it straight into the clips, the main thing with passing with purpose is you need to have a plan ahead. You need to be thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. So first of all, you know why you're passing to a certain person, but also so you can telegraph something far before the opponent can read your situation. So in this example, I'm going to show you exactly why I have my fullbacks on balance. The main reason behind it is because I can make them go on runs. And if you pay attention to this clip, I do something that allows me to create even more space for my overlapping fullback. So pay attention here, right? I pass to my Hansen. However, I've already made my Rashford go on a run. If you see, he's got his arm pointing out, which means he's running in that direction now. And look, if you saw what I did, I player locked to my Hansen and I dragged her towards my Rodri. The main reason I did that is because look, that left back is already being very aggressive. He's created a little gap for my Rashford to run into. And look, all it is, player lock in, and now look, he doesn't know what to do. It was either chase Hansen or follow the Rashford. And look at what I do here. First of all, you would think I'm just going to try a through ball to Rashford. However, I know that this player has already read that. So immediately I switch my thinking. I say, okay, so the second he pushes out that Theo, that means there's a massive gap for my Patelas to run into. And that's exactly what happens. One pass into her, one pass into Rashford, and it's a sweaty goal. Listen, although it looks like, oh, that was an easy goal to score, that took a lot of brain power. That took a lot of computing the situation to get into that situation. You don't understand the work that goes on behind closed doors to receive passes like that so goals look easy. That looks like an easy goal, but again, look at the computation of the brain that you need to have to get these situations. Okay, now we're going to have a look at this very common situation. You're down the line, there's no real options but backwards. And I've explained before, passing with purpose can involve you passing backwards. And on occasion, your passes, you don't even have to control the ball. You can just touch it out immediately. And the benefit of having pinged pass is exactly that. Look at the speed at which I score this goal. It takes me about 4 seconds to get from where Henri is to inside the back of the net. And it's quite literally 4 simple passes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a first time low driven. However, you need to pay attention to certain things. First of all, the formation helps me out a lot in this situation. Second, the playstyle pluses. Third, the second I gave the ball to Rodri, I knew exactly where I was going to pass the ball. Now look at it from this situation. The second Hullet has the ball, I know that I need to either pass to Patelas or my Dembele, and then it's dynamic adjustment. Look at this. The second Patelas runs out offside, I know that I can't pass to her anymore. So when I've passed to Hansen and then I've passed it to Ritten, I've understood already that this team is going to push forward because of the positioning of the ball. And then from there, it's a simple situation. I need to make sure I'm fast enough to first of all pass to Dembele, but second, react to anything that happens. So by that, I mean there's two things that can happen here. I pass to Dembele and he's wide open because his Danzo is running in the direction that will make me wide open, or I'm going to have to tussle with that Danzo and potentially pass backwards or just shoot immediately. And luckily, I get in a situation where his Danzo has no idea what's going on. Look at where his Danzo goes. Obviously, that's the issue with manual defending, but it is what it is, and then it's a low driven first time. Nothing he can do to stop it. Okay, here's another example. First of all, recycling. Second, paying attention and dynamically adjusting to certain players' situations. For me, in this instance, I know that there's not many passing options going forward, so I need to fake a player lock to create a passing opportunity backwards. Let me show you what I mean by that. So in this situation, I fake this player lock because look at what it does. It forces his right back away from my Theo, which means my passing option backwards is now wide open. And also, look at what it does. It makes him hesitate and switch to his centre back, which means I know that even if he right stick switches perfectly to that Beckham, I'm fast enough and far away enough from the player to be able to react to any situation. And look, that's exactly what happens. I pass it backwards to my Patelas, and he switches it perfectly to Dembele. His Beckham. But look, again, look at how far that Beckham is now because of what I've done. That fake player lock in the middle has generated all this extra space for my Patelas to pass into my KDB. And then look, I don't even need to say it, but there's one clear, glaring passing option that I have from this situation after I passed to them, my KDB. And look, it's wide open. There's quite literally nothing the guy could do about it. I've perfectly telegraphed the space out wide, and then I've made it so even if he switches to his DMs, there's not enough time and space for him to be able to run into that situation. And then, again, pinged pass. I'm telling you, it's the most important play style in the game. If you want to be able to build up quick, fast, goal scoring opportunities like this, the guy had no chance. One pass into Dembele, and it's again, first time low driven, just like that. Of course, I'm on precision, so it goes even faster. Okay, I'm going to show you another example of how I use my manual runs, so making this Theo go on a run, to benefit me offensively. And the main reason I can do this so often is because I use left mid, right mid. So even if I get caught defensively, there could be an occasion where my left mid covers my left back. Anyway, in this instance, obviously my team is pushed up very, very high. And the benefit of having your team pushed up high is when you have an overlapping run such as Theo, you can literally pass into someone and just delay your pass into the last player. And that's exactly what I do here. I've made Theo go on a run. And look, in this instance, I could have taken a touch in any direction, but I make sure I take a touch away from the right back. And now look, he doesn't know what to do. First of all, he thought I was going to first time pass it to Theo. I didn't. Second, I stepped away from him so much that even if I wanted to, I could literally just go for a Trivella here. Take two R1 dribbling touches in and just Trivella with my Neto. But I don't. Again, in this game, I'm 2-0 up. I'm comfortable. I was mucking around. And obviously the end product here, it's a little bit of a joke. I was just messing around on stream. But ultimately, this goal happens because I telegraphed ahead. Look at it again. I knew from this pass, from the beginning here, what I was going to do. I already knew. The second I passed to Patelas, the ball hasn't even gone to Patelas' feet, and I've made my Theo go on a run. And look, from here it's just patience, one step away, make sure I can through ball it perfectly. He doesn't know what to do. I play a lock all the way to Hullet, L1 square, simple goal. And again, we'll look at the same situation, making sure you're recycling the ball very, very well. In this situation, it's just about patience. Take your time. And listen, I've said it before, go backwards to go forwards. Simple. That's just the triangle technique. All I've done is I've looked at Dembele, I've looked at a player that I can ping the pass into, which is my Hullet. And then from there, like I said, it's a triangle technique. You look at one player at the top of the key, so the top of where the box is, and then you look at who you can ping the pass into immediately after, and that's what I do. Straight into my son, done. I could have first timed that, but I took a touch just in case it was a bad position, and it was a simple goal. But again, you need to be telegraphing your passes ahead. And again, the reason I keep exaggerating, you need to know for your formation inside out, is because of this exactly. I know that my Hullet, because he's a deep line on build up, he's going to come into the perfect situation for me to pass him the ball, and it's a simple goal from there. And here's another clip. This is a game against a very, very high level player. This is one of my mates. He's a rank 1 player, absolute demon at the game. And look, over here in this situation, I've done two things. I made my fullback go on a run very early, and then I've stepped away from the player so I can do this through ball. And again, if you know the smelly classic, player lock into the middle so I can pass backwards. Two passes later, low driven. Look at that. You're telling me I've gone from a situation where I was struggling out wide, player locked it into my son, two passes later, the ball's in the back of the net. And the defender had no opportunity. There wasn't a second where he could have got the ball there. Genuinely, there was literally nothing he could have done. That's a combination of two things. Ping passes absolutely everywhere in my attack. And then on top of that, it's dynamic adjustment. You need to be able to dynamically adjust to the situation on the pitch constantly. Okay, here's another example. A lot of the time, people think when I'm playing, champs and I'm streaming it, people think I'm taking the mick out of others, but I'm not. In this situation, right, let me just show you the clip. All I'm doing is recycling. I'm going backwards and here. From here onwards, people will think I'm taking the mick, but I'm not. All I'm doing is telegraphing the play enough so that it makes sense for me. All I did there was I manipulated the situation in every single pass that I made. Quite literally. Let me show you it again. Okay, pay attention. The second I release the ball here, look at what I do with my hullet. I know that this guy, the entire game was just defending with his DMs. He's got Hullet and Vieira in midfield. So realistically, they're automatic. He doesn't need to touch anyone else, just control his DMs. So all I was doing is, I know I have Finesse Plus on my Hullet. The reason I have that is another story, but it's absolutely crucial that you play to your own playstyle, your own game. And look, this is exactly what I do here. Again, like I said, it looks like I'm taking the mic, but I know I need to move that Hullet so that I can take a shot with my hullet. And that's what I do. Look, I move him around. I open up a little gap and I finesse it immediately. There's quite literally nothing he could do there. I manipulated him to move out of my way. Quite literally, I told him to get out of the way by the passes that I was doing. I confused him first of all. If you saw his player switches, they were absolutely awful. He didn't know who to switch to the entire time there. And that's because of me. I did that on purpose. I needed to confuse him. I needed him to get out of the way so I could do this exactly. Look at what he did. He switched us from his right centre back to his right DM to his left DM to his right DM, and I scored. That is pure mastery of dynamic adjustment and manipulation. Okay, so anyway, the basic consensus of this video was two things. First of all, you need to pass and telegraph your passes. Why are you passing in that certain direction? And next time you're worried, you lose a game, you want to improve, think about it yourself. Go watch back your own videos. Clip a whole game that you lost, for example, or clip a game that you won and see what you did good. And sit there with a learning mindset. The main thing that I find in the people I coach is, for some reason, when they watch back their own gameplay, they think they did everything perfectly. You can literally always improve. There's always something that someone knows better than you. And I would highly recommend watching streamers, watching people play the game. Ask them questions if you have to. Or just sit there and watch their videos on YouTube and watch it back. Understand why they did certain things, how they did certain things. And slowly but surely, it will get into your own game. I could promise you that much. And another thing I would highly recommend is, when you do stuff like that, go into it with a learning mindset. Be humble enough to understand, okay, cool, maybe I'm not the greatest at the game, or maybe you are great at the game, but there's certain aspects of the game that you want to improve in. Go into it with that mindset, and I can promise you, you will learn so much more. There's so much to learn about this game, and I would highly recommend doing it now whilst we have time for the next game. And last but not least, adjusting dynamically. Dynamic adjustment. I'm telling you, you see when we complain about our DDA, difficult dynamic adjustment, stuff like that, you can control whatever you can control yourself. The benefit of learning about this game properly is that you need to be able to adapt to certain situations immediately. There's only so much I can teach you through a video. There's only so much a coach can teach you through coaching. You need to be able to adjust on the fly. It's kind of like real life. You go with the flow. You deal with stuff as it happens. Not whilst you can't sit and learn it from a video. It's stuff like that. And from personal experience, there's certain things in life you can't be taught. You either have it or you don't. But FIFA is not one of those things. You can learn. You can improve on this game. And we're gonna play every single edition of this game no matter what. We'll cry and moan about it all the time. But at the end of the day, we're most likely gonna buy FC26 and keep going like that. So I'd highly recommend sitting down and learning as much as you can whilst you have the time. Anyway, that's the end of this video. I highly appreciate if everyone would drop me a sub. Make sure you're following me on TikTok, and I do stream on Twitch daily. Pretty much every single day I'll be live. I don't really have a schedule time wise, but make sure you hit notification button on my Twitch when you follow me so you'll be notified the next time I'm live. Anyway, take care guys.